Hello and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Everton 2, Liverpool 2, as David Moyes' Everton score a 97th minute equaliser to prevent Liverpool from having the most wins in the Merseyside Derby at Goodison Park, as the 120th game at Goodison Park between the pair does finish on 41 games won each. And we're here today to talk about why it might have been more than just a 2-2 draw at Goodison Park, and why, in my opinion, it was actually a David Moyes masterclass that led it to 1 point being shared between the two teams. So how can I call it a David Moyes masterclass if 1 point was shared between the two teams? Well, in all competitions this season for Arne Slot's Liverpool, this was the least amount of XG and shots taken in a single game in any competition under the Dutchman so far at Liverpool. And that just really does ring a bell in your head as to how well Everton played in this game in particular. And there's a lot to get through, so we're going to hurry up and get to that now. But I just want to show you a few more bits of data that really do contextualise what we've just watched. So as you can see from the graphic in front of me, Liverpool did only accumulate 0.65 expected goals in this game, shooting only 6 times, with 4 of them being on target, but having an astonishing 63% of the ball. And we're going to speak about why this is such a big thing for Arne Slot, that they had a lot of the ball and they didn't really manage to break Everton down. So we're going to kick right off from the 10th minute, and this is the play leading up to Everton's first goal when they actually won the free kick. So as we can see in this picture, Everton are actually settled in a 4-4-2 mid-block with Decore and Beto maintaining the high position as two split strikers, and you've got Ndiaye and Jesper Lindstrom who are holding the width, but they are considerably more narrow than you would imagine your 4-4-2 wingers being. But as we can see, there's something really interesting in this still alone that was a consistent theme throughout the game for Arne Slot's Liverpool, and that is the reserved positions of the Liverpool fullbacks. We can actually see Conor Bradley and both Andrew Robertson as stood in the back four, and this isn't something we usually see teams do now. We usually see a back three with a 2 in midfield, something that Liverpool have also done. We even see a 2 and a 3. And it was clear that Arne Slot wanted to be more reserved in his approach in this game. He wanted to have more control build-up, he wanted to have more bodies in the first third to control the game. So in the second still, we can actually see that Dominic Szoboszlai is trying to carry the ball into the right half space, but then you've got Mykolenko, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Iliman Ndiaye and Beto who are retreating from the Liverpool pressure. And we can see in the third frame, they actually managed to get 4 bodies around it. And Conor Bradley, because of that reserve position he had on the ball initially, is nowhere near high enough up the pitch to counter press and win the ball back. So Everton retain the ball, they play around the back. Jared Bramthwaite plays a lovely pass into Idrissa Gana Gueye, and then he feeds Iliman Ndiaye, and then they can carry the ball through the centre of the pitch. And Liverpool, before the pass to Iliman Ndiaye, you can see how they're trying to press, but their positions aren't as aggressive as an Arne Slot team has been recently. And then Ndiaye wins the foul. Jared Bramthwaite thinks on his feet and plays Beto in for the 1v1, and that's 1-0. And it was just a really early sign in the game that Liverpool and Arne Slot didn't want to be as aggressive as they have been with their positioning of the fullbacks. They have 2 great box defenders, Everton, and when you can force a team to limit them to only Hollywood balls into the box or long balls into the box, that's how Everton want teams to play against them. And for the most part, Liverpool looked quite toothless when they were circulating the ball around the edge of the area, and the lack of a 9 on the pitch to actually aim at, a lack of a focal point, was really obvious in this game. And when the ball was going out to Conor Bradley and Mohamed Salah, and even on Cody Gakpo's side, to combine with the midfielders and create these rotations, Everton were just too compact. They had too many numbers. They were just too structurally strong to penetrate through, and it took real concentration from Everton to always stay with the man and never really lose concentration of the game plan. But I think you've now seen how they've gone tactically from a mid-block, being able to transition, but then you're also now seeing how they're able to low block and limit teams to virtually nothing. And this is often how David Moyes' West Ham played. Yeah, just a really incredible low block performance in certain situations. And yeah, we've shown how they're going to compete in a mid-block. We've now shown how they competed in a low block. And now we're going to move on into the high press and how they managed to cause Liverpool problems even when they were pressing on their goalkeeper kicks. Gravenberch only accumulated 32 touches in 61 minutes at Goodison Park, and that is his lowest touches in any game in any competition he's played for Liverpool this season, above 45 minutes played. That is also the same for his passes completed and his passes attempted. And I want to just show you why this could be the case. And with Liverpool playing them wider fullbacks, it meant that when Everton were playing in this narrow 4-4-2, they were almost creating this box around Gravenberch. And I want to show you similarly what happened when we move on from that. So in this picture, you can obviously see that Gravenberch is being surrounded by 6 Everton players as the wingers are narrow, the midfield pivot is pushed high, and the 2 strikers are basically covering the passing lanes from each centre half to filter the ball into the 6. So we can see in this situation, around the 19th minute, Gravenberch has actually rotated out to right back with Szoboszlai dropping into the 6, and he's doing that to try and get a feel for the ball, trying to work himself into the game. And by the second screenshot, we can see that he's still in that position, and he's actually rotated completely with Conor Bradley, who's gone inside the pitch. And this is all to get on the ball. But then what happens is when Liverpool move forward into the final third and they cross the halfway line, he then tucks infield next to Dominik Szoboszlai, and with Conor Bradley still high, he then drops to receive the ball, and then you've got a settled midfield 2 of Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, with the back 4 again really deep, really narrow, and really, reserved in terms of their aggressive positioning. So despite all this positioning and all these rotations that Gravenberch is trying with Szoboszlai and Conor Bradley to get on the ball, they end up in the same situation where both the fullbacks are narrow, pinned back by Everton's narrow wide midfielders, and then you've got 6 bodies surrounding Gravenberch again, and he's not in a position where you're going to feed him the ball. And we can see that with Liverpool launching another long ball into Dominik Szoboszlai. And again, when Dominik Szoboszlai touches it, we can see 4 or 5 Everton players collapsing on the ball, winning the ball high and countering again through Liverpool's spine. And that was a consistent problem. And then I want to move on basically into Liverpool's deeper build-up where Everton were actually forced to press them high. We can see how aggressive Everton were in the game. Obviously, as the tide changed, Everton managed to sit off more and close spaces and reserve a bit of legs. But in this, you can actually see how aggressive Beto, Jack Harrison, Doucouré, Idrissa Gana Gueye, James Garner are all pinning Liverpool back, and you can see that same trend from before of Gravenberch not having a single passing lane open. You can see that if Alisson feeds the ball to Konate like he does, we can see that as soon as he touches it, the 4 Everton bodies that were narrow completely gamble and shut off that space. Mykolenko has stepped up onto Conor Bradley, and then he wins the ball back in a second phase, and then they carry it forward towards Liverpool's goal just at the end of the first half, and you can see that they create a pretty decent opportunity to whip the ball into the box. And it wasn't just Everton's off-the-ball stuff that really impressed me throughout the game. We can see from the Jack Harrison chance, which I thought was actually a really big chance in transition, what Everton were also trying to do. So again, we can see this makeshift 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, with Gravenberch basically being surrounded. And again, I mention it, because of Andrew Robertson's position in this still right here, we can see that he's even deeper than the halfway line. He's next to the 2 centre-halves, and we can see when we move it on into the second frame, again, he's not providing any width on the outside to get in behind him. Gakpo tries to basically force a ball through the middle. It's lost in a second ball, and the ball ends up in the channel to Jake O'Brien. Now, what's happened here is that Everton teams historically over the past few seasons, even under Sean Dyche, have got this method of being able to launch these longer balls to one side of the pitch. And what that means is when you launch a ball onto one side of the pitch and you can make that run all the way to the throw-in line and then hook it down the line, is it gives you forwards the chance to move over and lock off one side of the pitch. And that is exactly what Doucouré and Beto managed to do in this sequence. We can see how Konate and Van Dijk are both holding the left-hand side of Liverpool's defence up, with Conor Bradley actually taking up the position as a centre-half, as you would say. And when the second ball is lost to Beto, we can see that when Everton transition towards the box, it's actually Jack Harrison who's arriving in a 1v1 situation against Conor Bradley to take the finish. And that is what Everton like to do. They like to overload one side to launch the ball forward, win the knockdown in space, and then they'll know, because they've compacted onto that side of the pitch and they've got enough bodies there to win the ball, they will have a 1v1 on the other side eventually to work the ball over. And then Jack Harrison does get it. And this is a better still that I found on the replay angle to show you just how much they were gambling on winning that second ball in the channel. As you can see, Jack Harrison is just about to cross the halfway line, and he is looking at Conor Bradley, waiting for the ball to be turned over, driving forward so he can run and arrive into that space 1v1. And that is just a very, very small touch that David Moyes and Sean Dyche have both utilised over the past few weeks and months at Everton that's really, really working out. And when you play Doucouré just off Beto, two players who love fighting for the first and second balls, especially in the air, and they don't let a single ball bounce and they don't let a 50-50 go easy, this is what can be created of it. And when you've got pace, and Iliman Ndiaye had to go off in the first half, but if he remained on the pitch with his pace and penetration and behind, they could have won the game with situations like this if he added that just a little bit more touch of quality in the final third. So, and to show you further examples of what I mean by Everton clogging one side to open up 1v1 opportunities, I've actually got this situation just before the halftime break, which is when Everton were actually building up a little bit of momentum. And you can see that Everton have got a throw in here, and this is a very traditional thing for Everton. They're going to long throw it down the touchline. And as you can see, again, Everton have completely compacted that other side of the pitch, with even Jack Harrison dragging Conor Bradley almost near the referee, who is completely on the right-hand side of Everton. And then because they've got so many bodies in this vicinity, and they can basically gamble on their physicality and routine to win the second ball in them congested areas, Everton eventually end up winning the knockdown with a few. There's a little bit of a scuffle in the middle, and then the pitch opens up, and you can see how Liverpool's back four is really, really compact into one side, really, really squeezing itself together. And then the next frame, Jack Harrison's able to pull Conor Bradley right out to the channel as Beto and Doucouré look to make them curve runs into the defence. So them going really narrow to really wide in the attack, and basically like covering one side of the pitch and then making it really big on set pieces, throw-ins, long balls from Jordan Pickford. It really helps them to create space and attack space. And as you can see in the final frame, Mykolenko has got a complete 1v1 opportunity there with Conor Bradley. We can see how Jack Harrison's whipping the ball into Beto. I think heads the chance towards Alisson. But you can see what can be accomplished here with these long balls, second ball, compact on it, then make the pitch big and attack the space that's left over for you. And I think David Moyes has definitely identified that with the players Everton have got. There was a reason why Beto's looking like a decent player for Everton under David Moyes, and it's because of that ability to attack space and win them knockdowns consistently and be a bit proactive with the ball winning. However, this isn't to say that David Moyes is moving towards a fast and direct style. I think he leaned on it quite a bit for Everton in this game because it was the way to win. It was where the space was. He wanted to attack the space. He wanted to use Beto, Doucouré, Ndiaye to their strengths. And I've got a playing style comparison graphic here which shows the changes that Everton have made short term under David Moyes. You can see how their passes per sequence have got a lot more, and their direct speed in terms of upfield meters per second covered has come down quite a bit. And it's just these little changes that David Moyes is implementing to Everton that are making them become a very, very good football team overnight. He's only made a few tweaks here and there. We spoke to Doucouré on the Overlap Breakdown podcast, and he said he just changed the positioning of a few people. It just shows us clips. And, it's these minimalistic tweaks that David Moyes has almost come famous for, and they work so well. And you can see here by their passing network that I've also got from the game against Leicester, which they won 4-0. You can see that you're looking at here a structure that you would consider with a Manchester City, an Arsenal, Tottenham, any other top possession play team. You can see Branthwaite, Tarkowski, Jake O'Brien creating a back three. Idrissa Gana Gueye, James Garner is the pivot. Doucouré playing just off Beto with Ndiaye, Lindstrom, Mykolenko creating that final five in the last line. And it's these really, really simple and effective tweaks from David Moyes. Also his ability to manage and really galvanise a squad. But I think Everton have been absolutely sensational since he's come in. I've watched them a couple of times, and I just think they're really, really strong. They're playing more on the ball. They're taking a few more risks, but they're also leaning on them core principles that have become famous with this Everton team and makes them so hard to play against. And yeah, I thought they were absolutely brilliant against Liverpool, and I thought they were unlucky just to get 1 point. I thought it was one of the best performances I've seen against Liverpool from any side. And even though it was the last game at Goodison, there was a lot of outside factors that play into the outcome of the game. It's not just a regular game; it's a derby, and what they say about a derby, form goes out the window, but honestly, I thought it was a brilliant game, and all the theatrics after it, and the commotion, the interviews, what's been said. It's makes for a real good football match, and it's also nice to have a look at the tactics behind all of the carnage that we've just witnessed and the chaos. So if you do like this, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and share it around with all of your friends. And we'll be back next week for more Premier League analysis. Catch you then. Thank you.